Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I am pre-filming this video for Halloween. It is actually Halloween Eve, and it is currently 12:53 a.m. and I'm getting ready to go vlog. So I thought, well, why not? I pre-filmed a video for one of my other channels, my drama channel, and I thought, why not pre-film a video for the Peterisms channel? Then that way tomorrow I can hang out with my husband and watch Halloween movies and just have a Halloween kind of day. So I brought the 5 books with me today. Let's go through here, and I haven't read from the Soul's Companion in a while. So let's read from the Soul's Companion. I have no idea what it's gonna talk about in here. I'm a little worried. Okay, I need my glasses. Thank you, Tucker. Tucker is standing over here and he's watching everything that I'm doing. Okay, October 31st. Primitive soul. I am more than my mind and body. They will someday die, pass into another form. But the soul within me was, is, and always will be part of eternity. My deep unconscious self has more power to shape me than I realize. I depend on it for my day-to-day functioning. My unconscious contains all my accumulated experience and connects me to the deeper aspects of the world and universe in which I live. I am connected with forever. This is from Carl Jung. Actually, however, we are dependent to a startling degree upon the proper functioning of the unconscious psyche and must trust that it does not fail us. Experience shows us that the sense of the I, the ego consciousness, grows out of unconscious life. The small child has psychic life without any demonstrable ego consciousness, for which the earliest years have hardly any traces in memory. Where do all our good and helpful flashes of intelligence come from? What is the source of our enthusiasms, inspirations, and our heightened feeling for life? The primitive sense in the depths of his soul, the springs of life. Okay, interesting meditation. Kind of put me off track. I don't know. This wasn't what I was expecting to read about today, you know? It's usually about resentments or grief or recovery or something like that. I love the discussion of soul. I really, really do. You know, my mom and the unconscious, I think, are two topics I think are interesting to talk about, but kind of scary and confusing sometimes. And I'm no expert, obviously, on any of it. But, you know, my mom always said, even long before she got sick, that she just believed that she was a bag of soul. And as she got, you know, towards the end when she was really sick, she would reaffirm that with me, and she would say, you know, like, these dogs are running around like crazy. It's so funny. She would say, you know, don't forget, I'm just a bag of soul. Like, my body is just a shell. Like, that's not who I am. And when my body is gone, my soul is somewhere else. And she really, really believed that. And, you know, that really helped me. I mean, it really, really helped me with the grieving process. Especially, I would say, the immediate, like right after she passed away. I can remember standing in the room that night, you know, and I've told this on here many times before, and like looking down at her and thinking to myself, well, it was weird, you know. I can remember thinking, you think of this as being like this grand moment in time, right, of somebody passing, and it's kind of like, it doesn't really hit you how like momentous it is until later, if that makes sense. Like, you don't even really realize at the time kind of like what you're going through. It's crazy, right? And oh, Boo Radley's back here. Are you making your bed back there, Boo Radley? So you don't really realize what you're going through in the moment, you know what I mean? And he hasn't done that in a while, but he's been digging in this chair lately. It's so hilarious. I can remember standing there, and I can remember thinking, you're born, you live, you die, and what you put in the middle of it is yours. But I also remember thinking to myself that there should have been like this moment with like trumpets blazing, you know, and that there should have been this, like, it just felt like one moment she was there and the next moment she wasn't. And, you know, it just was very, very strange. It was like, there wasn't this, I think, this momentous entrance into heaven like I thought there would be. And it was just crazy to me, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really realize until later what kind of like just a refined moment it was, if that makes sense. And one of the things I really realized looking back later was that I felt like she had been gone for quite some time, you know. I think people in comforting ways do you see this? These dogs are wanting so much attention tonight, it's crazy. Can you get back down over there, please? He said no. I want to come right over here and be with you. Come on. Well, come on. So, you know, like later people would say to me, like when I went in and I spoke to my mom the night before when she was in a coma and stuff, people would say, well, she heard everything that you said. Well, I don't know that, you know. I mean, I know that some people in comas do, but I don't know that, you know. I don't know that she heard everything that I said. And I don't know that I really care, in all honesty, you know. And I don't know that it really matters. But that was like such a moment for me, you know. And it was like, with my aunt, the same way, you know, like my cousin called me just like moments after my aunt passed. And I can remember looking at Caroline and she said, it's just so surreal. It's like the weirdest feeling in the world, you know? And it is. It's totally the weirdest feeling in the world. But I don't think that you really realize it until after it's over. It's like, you know, I mean, I had in my life imagined there would be the moment when, especially as a person that's sober, because I would think about what are moments in my life that I'm going to really struggle staying sober, and I always thought like my wedding, and then my wedding wasn't hard at all, you know? And then I thought if my mom or my dad or like my stepmom or one of my close friends passed or somebody that I was with, you know, like I don't know that I could stay sober through that, and I have, you know? And I don't know, it's just... It's so bizarre because like when you're going through it, I think like I always thought, I don't know what I thought. Like I feel like almost like the funeral and the viewing was more of like this momentous passing of time than the actual passing of my mother, if that makes sense. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It just was, it's so, unless you've lived through it, I don't think you really get it, you know? It's like, one moment they're there and the next moment they're not. And it's like the weirdest feeling in the entire world, you know? But my mom was somebody that really believed that she was just a bag of soul. And she was definitely somebody that believed that her soul left her body and went somewhere else. And I am a believer in that as well. I think many of you know that if you watch my videos on a regular basis. The conversation of the unconscious is interesting to me. You know, I think that in discussing the unconscious, to me mostly, or the subconscious, which are two completely different things. But I think for me, you know, I talk a lot about it with friends, like when we're talking about dreams, because I feel like I'm not a believer. When I was younger, I loved to read like dream dictionaries and that, like, you know, certain things were symbols. I'm not a believer in that. I'm just not. I believe today that what I dream about are things that I have had happen that week, or people that I've thought about, or maybe I've seen somebody that reminded me of something, or maybe like I talked to my dad on the phone that day and then I have a dream about my dad. I think it's things that have happened in my life, and then I think it's my my subconscious working overtime on issues in my life. And I think that's why, like, for, you know, like if you dream a lot about work, supposedly what that means is it's not symbolic of something. It means you've been working a lot, right? Or, you know, I don't know, like, I actually, back in the day, I had the privilege of working with a psychiatrist, and he was fantastic. And I can remember, like, this girl coming, we all worked together underneath him, and this girl coming to work, and she was, like, telling us all these dreams she had. And I was like, oh, what do you think it means this? And he was like, no, what it means is this. And it was very simple. It was like the themes that we have when we interact with people. I love dream interpretation. I think it's really interesting. I think it's interesting to talk about dreams. If you watch my vlog, you know I talk about dreams on there a lot, you know. I think the subconscious and the idea of, well, this is talking about the unconscious, but the idea of soul and what is underneath us, you know, when you strip it all away. Like, for a long time, I think one of the reasons why I had to have an afterlife that was visual was because I had a really hard time letting go of the body. Does that make sense? Like, who am I if there's no skin, no hair, no, you know what I mean? Like, that's a weird concept if you've thought about it, you know? Who are you if you are just that energy of light? And would we know your energy if it was in another life form and things like that? Did you guys ever read The Art of Racing in the Rain? The movie is horrible. I saw the movie and I didn't think it was good at all. The book was fantastic. It's one of my favorite books of life, but it's like, would you recognize soul in another form, you know, of somebody that you loved? It's a good question. All right, let's read one more meditation, because that one was kind of interesting, wasn't it? To say the least. Okay. I mean, the book is called The Soul's Companion, so. Oh, look at little Boo Radley over there sleeping. Isn't he so sweet? Okay, let's read from the Melody Beatty, Journey to the Heart. October 31st, something important is happening now. There's never a time when nothing is happening. Something is always taking place. Growth is occurring. We're evolving, transforming, working things out, incorporating our last lesson, preparing for our next. Something is happening. We just don't always see it, and that's how it's meant to be. When we know too much too soon, it's easy to let our heads get in the way. We think we have to control, have to force, have to make it happen, have to do something. In a gentle but wise way, the universe takes into account our fears and our natures. It doesn't let us know too much too soon. It doesn't spoil the surprise. It doesn't want us to spoil it either. Open your heart to the universe, or either. Open your heart to the universe. Trust that something is always happening, and often it's much different and better than you think. What an interesting meditation. These meditations tonight were like deep on a level that I wasn't ready for it. Halloween Eve, you know what I mean? I just wasn't really willing and ready to think this deep. I mean, I had my Halloween crime time cup and I was like, oh, we'll read some easy meditations. These are like, woo, these are deep ones, aren't they? But I am such a believer in what it was talking about. I really am. You know that so many things are occurring. You know, I read this book years ago. It was a book that my mom had, but I can remember, I don't think I read the whole thing. I just read parts of it. It was called like Transitions or something. And it talked about how in your life you will go through like 8 or 9 major transitions in your life. And that you won't even be aware of them at the time that you're going through them. You know, and that we're all of us constantly evolving and changing and becoming new people. Constantly. You know what I mean? It's like, have you ever seen those time-lapsed videos of like the Grand Canyon or like an ocean or something? I think like in that documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, like they showed a lot of that where they would show like, how do you pronounce that word? Archipelago? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but they would show it like over time where it would like it would go like this. It would become like blue and green, and then it would like, you know, or like where the ice caps were melting and things like that. They would show them over time. Well, imagine if we had visible signs of change other than our weight or graying hair or wrinkles or things like that, or changes that we, you know, whatever. That over time, like you could see us evolving or changing in here, you know, and I'm sure to some degree, like if you took, you know, video of our brains, maybe we could see that. But we are forever changing and evolving, you know. It's like interesting. It's like, have you ever thought about something and then one day you just believe it to be true? What is it, boo? But have you ever like thought about something for a long time and it's like one day you just believe it to be true? You know, it's like my spiritual journey for me is always such like an interesting conversation for me to have with people, because is he not so sweet? Because, you know, like I typically know people that had very spiritual upbringings growing up, which, I mean, I did, but like, I mean, we talked about God in my house and we talked about the Bible and stuff like that. But like I said, I never internalized any of it, you know, and I don't know that that is the God that I believe in today. I believe in, you know, many different ideas all as one. But, you know, like, and I'm a believer and believe what you want to believe that works for you, you know? And I think, you know, as long as it's not hurting anybody else or anything like that as far as a faith. And, you know, it wasn't something that happened overnight for me. It wasn't. It was like, well, it's kind of a weird story. Like, I don't know how many times, if I've told this on here, if I've told it on my vlog or whatever, but, you know, I was going through this, like, reading a lot of books about all different kinds of world religions and taking what I liked and leaving the rest and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a weird story. I don't feel like sharing it. Have I told the story about the guy that walked by me and smiled? And I was like, is that like my spirit guide? Anyway, and I looked up and he had like disappeared. And there was like a piece of paper on the floor and it said, "To man from God." Have I ever told this story? I'll talk about it on my vlog. But it's I was sitting down in front of my office one day, years and years and years ago. And Like, I had all these different feelings in my head about stuff, and I was literally sitting out there. I would sit out in front of my office, and I would look across the street. There's a bar across the street, and I would look, and I would, on Sundays, they would have, like, rugby players after their games would come in. It was a Sunday. I was sitting there. I don't know what I was doing there on a Sunday, but... So anyway, I was sitting there, and I was watching people come in and out, and there was, like, literally for, like, a 20-minute period, there was, like, nobody on the street. And I just got, for some reason, thinking about, like, God and whatever. My mind drifts to all these different places, right? And this guy walked by, and it was weird because I always had this idea that if I had a spirit guide, he would very much look like what my old sponsor did, which was totally a truck driver, okay? My old sponsor looks like a truck driver. He still does to this day. And so this guy walked by, and this was like not an area where, I mean, I don't know, I had never seen this guy or whatever, and he walked by, and I had been like sitting here on this like same spot for like a half an hour or so, you know, and I didn't see anything on the ground. And oh, I wish I could find the picture. I have the picture somewhere. I think I have it saved on my Facebook, but it says, there's like a message on one side, and the other side it says "To man from God." And like, I looked at this guy, and I like looked down at this piece of paper, like something caught my eye, and I looked down. I can't believe I'm sharing this on here. This is so bizarre. Well, it is what it is, but it's my experience. So I looked down, and there was this piece of paper, and when I looked up, he was gone. And I was like, where did he go? Like, there was nowhere for him to go. Like, he was walking right in front of me. And I've had in my life many spiritual experiences like that, where like I felt I was talking to somebody that was of like some godly kind of like some spiritual, I was having some spiritual experience, and they just disappeared like that. I've had many moments like that. I had that the night that I got sober. I've talked about that, where I looked over and I didn't feel like I was driving the car, but I was talking to somebody, and I felt like they were driving the car. And to this day, I feel like somebody else was driving the car that night, like on a spiritual level. I really do. Like, I don't think I was supposed to make it, maybe, you know? I don't know. You guys are like, Peter, this meditation got so weird. Anyway, well, we're talking about soul. We're talking about other kind of things. You know, what gets you to where you believe something is different than somebody else? I don't know. But, you know, what's interesting to me is, like, for a long time, like, I didn't... like, I had all of this stuff just running around in my head for years and years and years. Even, like, I started on my spiritual journey at 2 years, and I could say that I believed in a God 2 years sober. But it wasn't until many years after that that I actually had a firm belief in what that was. And I don't know why that day, and I don't know that it was seeing that guy or the note. It was none of that. It wasn't like that was a burning bush moment. It was just something about thinking about all of it that day and like pushing it past that. And like, I had such a firm feeling in my heart. This is such a weird video, you guys. This is such a weird meditation tonight. I'm like, should I just do another completely different vlog or video? I'm not going to. I'm going to put it up. And listen, share with me your weird godly moments if you've had them, you know? But I can remember just thinking to myself, there's a God and I'm not it. And I think that God is a kind and loving God. And I felt that in like from that moment kind of going on. And it had nothing to do with seeing that guy, and it had nothing to do with that note. It had to do with the fact that I had all this stuff in my head for years and years and years. And it was like questioning this and testing this. And if there was a God, God would do this to me in my life. And I just gave it up one day. I just gave it all up. And I was like, you know what? What am I fighting? What am I fighting? To find out at the end of my life that there is no God? Okay, well, I may find that out anyway, you know? And so for me, it was about trusting something that, you know, that I can't see. It was taking a leap of faith, you know? And I can say that I haven't felt since lonely. I've had moments of loneliness, but I've never felt like I was truly alone in this world or in this life, you know? And I didn't have any grand baptism or anything that day or anything, you know? And it was just around then that I started seeing things completely different, you know? I don't know. Did you ever see that movie, those movies, Oh God, with George Burns back in the day? It was kind of that kind of thing for me, you know? It was kind of like, I had this moment and I thought, if God were a person, what would God look like? And maybe God is a person, you know? Maybe I hear God and see God through other people. I don't know. Maybe he speaks, maybe she speaks, maybe it speaks through their souls and through their lives and through their experiences as evidence to me of who I can be, that I can be a person of grace, that I can be a person of peace and a person of serenity. I hope so, you know, I hope so. So anyway, I know that this meditation today was kind of strange and whatever, but anyway, it's my experiences. So anyway, I love you guys and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.